Tonight, we are going to follow one ordinary Roman soldier through a payday. Not a general, not an emperor, not the heroic figure carved into a monument, looking suspiciously clean for a man who has just crossed half a continent on foot. We are interested in the fellow standing farther back. His sandals are worn, his blanket smells faintly of smoke, and when the army clerk opens the pay chest, he is already wondering how much of the money will truly belong to him. That question is more complicated than it sounds. A Roman soldier could earn a regular wage in a world where regular wages were unusual. He could receive food, clothing, shelter, equipment, medical attention, and the protection of a vast government. He could also discover that many of those useful things appeared as deductions in his account. Rome supplied the necessities of military life with one hand and presented the bill with the other. The arrangement feels strangely familiar. Our imagined soldier lives around the year 100, when Trajan is emperor and the Roman Empire is still expanding. Let us call him Marcus. The name is ordinary enough, which is exactly what we need. Marcus is a citizen and a rank-and-file legionary. That matters because the empire also employs large numbers of auxiliary soldiers who are not yet citizens, and their terms are different. Ancient military payroll is not one neat table covering every unit, province, and century. Anyone who tells you otherwise has made Roman accounting far more cooperative than Roman accounting has any intention of being. Marcus did not join because he dreamed of appearing in a museum. He joined because civilian life offered few guarantees. Perhaps his family worked a small farm. Perhaps he learned enough of a trade to know that tools cost money and customers disappear at inconvenient moments. A poor harvest could reduce an entire household to calculation. How much grain remained, which animal could be sold, what payment might be delayed, and whether the roof could survive one more winter without becoming an indoor fountain. The army offered a different bargain. The work was hard, dangerous, and controlled by men who regarded a 20-mile march as a perfectly reasonable morning. But the state promised pay, it promised rations, it promised a place inside the military system. For a young man without much property, that system could look less like a loss of freedom and more like an escape from chance. Before joining, Marcus would be examined. The army wanted men who were healthy, strong enough for service, and tall enough by the standards of the unit and the period. Recommendations and connections could help. So could looking capable, while an official assessed you with the warm personal interest of someone buying a mule. Once accepted, Marcus swore the military oath. His service would shape most of his adult life. A legionary term was long, commonly around 25 years in the early empire. That is not a temporary job taken while deciding what to do next. That is what you do next, and for a considerable portion of what comes after it. The recruit entered an institution that recorded, counted, stored, issued, and inspected almost everything. Weapons were checked, grain was measured, leave was requested, duties were assigned, letters were written, accounts were kept. The wooden writing tablets from Vindolanda preserve this world in remarkable detail. They show military reports, supply lists, messages between friends, requests, invitations, and the small concerns that survive beneath every grand imperial story. Rome may appear to us as marble, but much of it ran on handwriting. Marcus now belongs to that paper and wooden tablet empire. He has traded the uncertainty of the farm for the certainty of orders. Tomorrow he will be told when to wake, where to stand, what to carry, and how far to march. Eventually, he will also be told what he has earned. The first surprise is that the number on the official scale is only the beginning. By Marcus's time, a basic legionary is commonly understood to have earned about 300 denarii a year, following the increase associated with Emperor Domitian. The figure sounds tidy. Ancient money rarely remains tidy for long. A denarius is a silver coin, but its meaning cannot be captured by placing it beside a modern banknote. Silver content changed. Prices differed between Rome, Egypt, Syria, Britain, and the Rhine frontier. Army demand could transform a local market. A bad harvest could transform it again. Modern conversions that announce 1 denarius equals an exact number of dollars or euros usually create confidence more successfully than they create history. The better question is what the wage allowed Marcus to do. 300 denarii was not delivered as one dramatic heap on the final day of the year. Military pay came in installments. The surviving evidence is fragmentary and the schedule changed, but the practical point is simple. Payday was an administrative event. Money moved through the unit, through officers and clerks, into accounts and hands. A soldier did not wander into a marble banking hall, take a numbered ticket, and complain that only 2 windows were open. He waited inside a system designed to pay thousands of armed men without allowing the process to become exciting. For comparison, many civilians lived on income that varied from day to day or season to season. A laborer needed work. A tenant farmer needed the crop to succeed after rent, taxes, seed, and household consumption. A craft worker needed materials and buyers. Marcus needed the empire to remain solvent and his unit to process the accounts. Neither condition was trivial, but the military wage offered predictability. Predictability has value before a single coin is spent. It lets a person plan. Marcus knows another pay period should come. He knows the army must feed the unit tomorrow because a hungry legion is not merely unpleasant, it is a heavily armed political problem. Emperors understood this. Whatever else an emperor neglected, neglecting the army's loyalty was a specialized method of shortening a reign. The headline figure also hides rank. A centurion earned far more than an ordinary legionary. Soldiers with special responsibilities could receive extra pay. Standard bearers, cavalrymen, clerks, engineers, medical staff, and men with technical skills occupied different positions inside the military economy. Promotion was not simply about honor, it could alter a household's future. Marcus, however, begins near the bottom. He owns no estate. He commands no one. His chief financial distinction is that Rome has agreed to pay him regularly in exchange for controlling almost every hour of his day. Imagine the pay chest arriving at a remote fort. The news moves quickly. Men who have spent weeks discussing weather, duty rosters, and the shortcomings of the unit cook suddenly become interested in arithmetic. The coins are real, so are the accounts beside them. Marcus may picture the gross wage, the clerk is concerned with the net. This is where the surviving military records become especially useful. They show that deductions could be taken for food, clothing, equipment, and other charges. Exact categories and amounts varied. One papyrus is not every soldier's universal payslip, yet the principle is clear enough. Official pay did not mean that every denarius passed freely into a soldier's purse. The ancient world had discovered payroll deductions. Civilization had advanced farther than Marcus might have preferred. The clerk places coins on the table. Marcus watches. For a brief and beautiful moment, the full payment exists in front of him. Then the army remembers that he has been eating. Grain could be charged, clothing could be charged, boots and replacement gear could be charged. Fodder mattered for cavalrymen. Unit funds and communal expenses might appear. The record could include items whose precise meaning is still debated by modern scholars, which is a polite way of saying that Roman clerks occasionally left behind abbreviations capable of annoying people for 2,000 years. Food is the most obvious expense. Soldiers needed enormous quantities of calories. Marching, digging, carrying, building, training, and standing watch in cold weather are not activities sustained by one olive and a confident attitude. Grain formed the center of the ration, often supplemented by meat, oil, wine or sour wine, legumes, salt, and whatever could be bought or gathered locally. The army organized supply on a scale that civilian households could not. Roads, river transport, storehouses, contracts, requisitions, pack animals, ships, and local merchants connected the soldier to imperial logistics. At a frontier fort, sacks and amphorae represented distant farms and long chains of labor. Marcus benefits from that network. He may also help pay for what it provides. This distinction matters. It is tempting to describe military food and housing as free benefits. The surviving accounts warn us to be more careful. The army supplied necessities, but charges and deductions meant that provision did not always equal a gift. Marcus receives security of supply, which is valuable, yet his account may still feel the weight of every ration. Clothing follows the same logic. A soldier needs tunics, a cloak, belts, socks or foot wrappings in cold provinces, and reliable footwear. Roman military boots are famous partly because archaeologists have found so many. At Vindolanda, leather survives in remarkable quantities. One can look at a worn sole and imagine the person who crossed the fort in it, perhaps while thinking that the road to glory contained an unreasonable amount of mud. Equipment is more complicated. The state and units supplied military gear in different ways across time. Costs for repair or replacement could reach the soldier. A damaged shield, a lost tool, or worn equipment was not merely a personal inconvenience, it was an accounting event. Marcus therefore experiences a strange kind of prosperity. His necessities are organized. He is unlikely to wake and discover that no grain seller has come to town. The fort has stores. The unit has procedures. Yet he cannot simply choose to avoid the expense by deciding this month to live without shoes. There are also expenses beyond survival. Soldiers bought better food, drink, writing materials, personal clothing, gifts, services, and entertainment. Merchants followed the army because a concentration of regularly paid men is a market. Settlements grew beside forts. Families, traders, craftspeople, innkeepers, and laborers formed communities around military demand. The army made Marcus a consumer as well as a soldier. This helps explain why military sites produce such rich evidence of ordinary life. Coins pass from pay officers to soldiers, from soldiers to merchants, and from merchants into the surrounding economy. A fort is not isolated from the province. It is one of the machines that changes the province. When the deductions end, Marcus may feel disappointed by the coins remaining, but the calculation is not finished. We have looked at money leaving his pay. Now we must look at the expenses he does not face in the same way as a civilian. Marcus sleeps in a barracks room with other soldiers. The arrangement offers many things. Privacy is not among them. The exact layout varies. But a legionary barracks commonly divided men into small groups associated with a tent party or contubernium. The group shared space, equipment, chores, meals, and the delicate social experiment of living beside the same people after everyone had marched all day in wool. The room is not a private home. It is assigned space inside a military fort. A soldier does not negotiate rent with a landlord, inspect 3 properties, and select the one with the most attractive view of the defensive ditch. His unit places him where it needs him. That loss of choice carries an economic advantage. Marcus is not searching for housing in a crowded city. He is not paying market rent from each installment of his wage. Maintenance, fuel, bedding, and furnishings still involve labor and expense, and soldiers could contribute to provisions. Yet the basic problem of finding a roof has been absorbed into military organization. The same is true of security. A civilian household might live behind an ordinary door. Marcus sleeps inside walls, gates, towers, and ditches maintained by the unit. Of course, the fort is secure because it stands where security is needed. This is rather like receiving free storm shutters on the condition that you move permanently into the path of the storm. The barracks also contains a social safety net of a limited and demanding kind. If Marcus falls sick, the army has medical personnel and facilities. Roman military medicine should not be confused with modern healthcare. Pain relief, infection control, and knowledge of internal disease remained limited, but an organized medical service, trained practitioners, surgical tools, sanitation, and dedicated spaces could offer a soldier better support than many civilians could expect. Again, the important word is organized. The army turns individual risks into collective systems. Grain is stored for the unit, water is managed for the fort, waste is removed, equipment is repaired by specialists, buildings are maintained by military labor, roads connect the garrison to supply. Marcus pays in money, labor, obedience, and danger, but he receives access to infrastructure that an ordinary farm worker could never assemble alone. That infrastructure makes simple comparisons between wages misleading. A civilian earning fewer coins may also need to secure food, lodging, tools, and care from an uncertain market. Marcus's deductions reduce his cash, yet many of his largest needs are handled before the remaining coins reach his hand. This does not make him rich. It makes his economic life unusually predictable. Predictability can feel dull. In fact, most reliable systems do. Grain arriving on schedule is less dramatic than a battle. A roof that does not collapse earns no triumphal arch. A clerk recording a deposit appears in no heroic poem. But these are the quiet advantages that allow a person to save. Marcus finishes his duties, returns to the barracks, and sits beside a lamp. Someone repairs a strap, someone grinds grain, someone tells a story the others have already heard, adding a new detail in the hope that repetition can be disguised as improvement. Outside, merchants close their stalls. Inside, Marcus counts what remains from his pay. The number may be smaller than the official wage. It is still money he does not immediately need for rent. The next question is where to put it. Carrying every saved coin through years of military service would be unwise. Marcus moves often. He trains, marches, builds, patrols, and may go on campaign. His possessions must remain portable. A pouch hidden beneath bedding offers less financial security than its owner would like, especially in a room shared with several men who know exactly when he was paid. The Roman army provided ways to deposit money through the unit. The standard bearer, or signifer, held responsibilities connected with soldiers' funds. Fort headquarters included secure spaces and pay offices. At Vindolanda, the archaeological and written evidence helps us picture an institution that could act as both employer and banker. This arrangement served the soldier, but it also served the army. Savings kept within the military system were harder to carry away. A deserter could abandon the unit, but he might abandon his accumulated money as well. Encouraging deposits, therefore, promoted discipline. Rome had found a way to combine personal finance with employee retention. Marcus deposits part of his remaining pay. The clerk records it. The coins join funds protected by the unit. He may withdraw money later for purchases, send support to relatives, prepare for retirement, or simply preserve a reserve against the unknown. The habit changes how we should see him. A soldier is not merely receiving and spending, he can accumulate. Ancient evidence reveals soldiers buying property, lending money, supporting households, making contracts, and participating in local trade. Outcomes varied enormously. Rank mattered, length of service mattered, family background mattered. Campaigns, bonuses, inheritance, side work, connections, and plain luck all mattered. Some men left service with resources, some died before the question arose. Some completed long careers and still faced a difficult future. There was no single Roman soldier's experience. just as there is no single modern worker's bank account. Still, the ability to save regularly separates Marcus from many precarious civilians. His pay is not high enough to make him an aristocrat. It is stable enough to create options. Suppose he saves a modest amount from each installment. The first deposit seems small, the fifth looks more serious. After years, the account represents land, tools, a workshop, a household, or the capital to enter a local business. It may also represent nothing more glamorous than the freedom to survive a poor season without selling everything. That is the form of wealth most people in history would recognize immediately. Not luxury, resilience. Marcus does not describe it with modern financial language. He has no chart showing compound returns and no cheerful advisor asking about his risk profile. His risk profile is serving on an imperial frontier. The chart would require only one large red section, but the principle is familiar. Regular income, controlled expenses, secure savings, and time can transform an ordinary wage. This is why comparing Marcus only with a modern salary misses the point. He is not wealthier because 300 denarii converts neatly into a spectacular sum. He may be better positioned because the army has reduced some of the uncertainty that consumes civilian earnings. Of course, Rome does not rely on salary alone to keep him loyal. Emperors know that extraordinary moments require extraordinary payments, and so we come to bonuses. An emperor's relationship with the army was expressed through ceremony, command, and money, especially money. Soldiers could receive donatives, special cash payments associated with an emperor's accession, an anniversary, a military success, or a political need that everyone involved understood without discussing too openly. A new ruler might speak of gratitude. The soldiers might hear confirmation that the new ruler appreciated the practical foundations of government. These payments were not ordinary salary. They were irregular and politically charged. That made them memorable. For Marcus, a bonus could accelerate years of saving. It could fund a purchase, pay a debt, support relatives, improve daily life, or disappear rapidly in the settlement outside the fort. Regular income creates plans. Unexpected income reveals character, though usually after the wine cellar has closed. Campaigns offered other possibilities. Soldiers might gain prize money, a share of booty, or rewards for valor. Yet booty should never be treated as a safe employment benefit. It required war, victory, access, and survival. The same campaign that enriched one man could injure another and leave a third beneath a stone marker far from home. The financial attraction of the army therefore existed beside extreme personal risk. Marcus's regular wage came from an occupation built around controlled violence. Training accidents happened, disease moved through camps, marches exhausted men, frontier duty exposed them to cold, heat, distance, and conflict. The empire's secure payroll did not make the employee secure. This tension is central to the story. It would be easy to say the Roman soldier had an excellent economic package. One could list pay, rations, quarters, medical support, promotion, savings, and retirement. Then one remembers that the package also included the possibility of being ordered to stand in the first rank, while another group of men tested the sharpness of their weapons. Marcus understood the trade more clearly than we do. He had watched veterans. He had seen scars, funerals, illness, and men who never returned from detached duty. The money mattered because the danger was real. It also mattered because military discipline removed the option to simply walk away. A civilian could leave an employer, at least in principle. Marcus had sworn an oath. Desertion was a serious crime. Disobedience could bring brutal punishment. His income was stable, partly because his obligation was enforced. Modern comparisons should stop before they flatten this reality. A government job, employer housing, and a retirement benefit may sound familiar. 25 years under Roman military law is not familiar. Marcus's financial advantages cannot be separated from the institution that created them, yet within that institution, opportunity existed. A literate soldier might become a clerk. A skilled craftsman might work in a specialized role. Men could earn higher status and extra pay. A capable soldier might rise through the ranks. The largest transformation came with promotion to centurion, though that path was difficult, competitive, and never guaranteed. Marcus begins to understand that his financial future depends on more than surviving until the next payday. Skill, reputation, patronage, discipline, and luck can all increase the value of his service. Tomorrow, the centurion will inspect the unit. Marcus will stand straight. He will maintain his equipment. He will try to be noticed for the correct reasons, which is one of the oldest and most difficult workplace strategies. For now, he adds the bonus to his account. The coins are quiet. The political anxiety that produced them is not. Marcus has learned something useful during his first years in the legion. The army is a hierarchy, and hierarchy is also a pay scale. At the bottom stand ordinary soldiers. They carry much of the physical work. They march, dig, build, guard, train, clean equipment, repair roads, unload supplies, and appear in formations when an officer wishes to demonstrate that everything is under control. Above them are men with particular duties and privileges. Some manage stores, some keep accounts, some carry standards, some serve as craftsmen, engineers, medical orderlies, or messengers. Above these are junior officers and centurions, whose incomes and status stand far beyond those of the men in the ranks. Promotion therefore changes more than a title. It changes the amount a man can save, the people who listen to him, the household he might one day support, and the kind of future he can imagine. The path is neither smooth nor fair. Literacy helps, a recommendation helps, experience helps, reliability helps. Being noticed by the right officer helps. Being noticed by the wrong officer may lead to an entirely different category of labor. Marcus understands that ambition must be quiet. He studies the men who receive useful assignments. He learns which tasks are done well, which reports are written clearly, and which complaints are better left unspoken. There is a practical reason to seek a specialist role. The body does not remain 18 forever. A man who can read accounts, organize supplies, repair metal, or supervise a workshop has value beyond his ability to carry a shield. The Roman army requires a surprising number of skilled people. A frontier fort is not only a place where soldiers wait for battle, it is a small working town. There are smiths, carpenters, surveyors, scribes, builders, veterinarians, cooks, medical staff, mule handlers, armorers, and men responsible for the unromantic miracle of making grain appear at the correct gate. An empire that stretches from Britain to Syria cannot function on courage alone. It requires inventories. Marcus volunteers for a detail in the storehouse. He does not become wealthy overnight. He learns how much wheat a century requires, how carefully oil jars must be handled, why a shipment can be late, and how quickly a small error in a record becomes a large argument at the end of the month. The work brings him into sight of the military economy. He sees contracts and deliveries. He sees merchants arriving with animals, leather, tools, wine, and food. He sees officers inspect stores with the solemn concentration normally reserved for omens. Behind every polished Roman road lies someone wondering whether enough iron nails have been ordered. This knowledge can become its own kind of capital. A soldier who learns prices, suppliers, routes, and local customs has skills that remain useful after service. He also learns caution. A good reputation takes years to build, and one missing crate to complicate. Marcus is not a centurion. Very few men reach that level, but the possibility of moving upward gives military service a horizon. A civilian laborer may know that tomorrow's work depends on another person's need. Marcus knows that performance, patronage, and time might increase his place within a durable institution. That institution is demanding, but it is legible. There are ranks, there are roles, there are paydays, there are records. And in a world where many lives are governed by weather, inheritance, and local power, a legible path can feel like a remarkable gift. It also brings Marcus into closer contact with the people who live outside the fort walls. Their lives are not governed by the same path. Outside the fort grows a settlement that the army did not exactly plan and cannot entirely avoid. Traders come first, then artisans, then tavern keepers, launderers, laborers, families, transport workers, and people who understand that a garrison of paid soldiers creates customers. Marcus walks there on a free afternoon. The path is muddy, the fort gate is behind him. Ahead are stalls, workshops, cooking fires, animals, voices, and the ordinary commerce of a place built beside military demand. He sees bread, vegetables, oil, cloth, leather, cheap pottery, better pottery, wine of uncertain quality, and objects whose usefulness becomes clearer after a second cup of wine. He has coins in his purse. He has no shortage of ways to spend them. The settlement is part of the army's financial story. Soldiers purchase extra food beyond the ration. They buy better clothes, writing materials, gifts, gaming pieces, religious objects, repairs, and services. Officers and their households require still more. Merchants may win supply contracts. Farmers may sell grain, livestock, and fodder. Craftspeople may repair the tools and leather that military life consumes. The money from the pay chest does not remain in the fort for long. It travels outward in small payments. One man buys a pair of shoes, another pays for a letter, someone else settles a debt. A group contributes to a meal. The coins move from soldier to trader, from trader to supplier, and through the province. The Roman army is expensive because it is large. It is also an engine of local economic activity because its expense becomes other people's income. Marcus notices a civilian laborer carrying timber. The man is probably not poor in some simple, permanent sense. He may have family land, a skill, neighbors, and opportunities Marcus cannot see. Yet his income is less certain. A job can end when the building is finished. A customer can delay payment. A harvest can fail. Marcus, with all his military restrictions, possesses the thing the laborer may want most, a date on which pay is expected. That does not mean the soldier is superior. It means the army has shifted risk. Marcus has accepted discipline, relocation, separation from home, and danger. In return, the state has taken on much of the problem of organizing his work and provisioning his life. The contrast becomes sharp when we think about rent. Marcus lives in barracks. The civilian may pay for a room, maintain a house, or live in a household where space is itself a constant negotiation. Marcus's quarters are crowded and not chosen, but he is not searching the market for them. The contrast also appears in food. Marcus may have deductions, poor rations, and very strong opinions about the cooks. Yet supply belongs to the unit's business. The civilian household must secure food through labor, purchase, storage, harvest, and luck. An army ration is not luxurious. It is dependable, which can matter more. Marcus buys a little oil, a better tunic clasp, and a sheet for a letter. He keeps most of his money. This is not because he is naturally virtuous. It is because he has seen older soldiers count their savings before discharge. The future becomes more persuasive when it has a number attached. At the edge of the settlement, he sees children play beside the road. He thinks of home. The army has made him financially steadier, perhaps, but it has also made distance part of his life. Coins can cross that distance. The man carrying them cannot always do so. The Roman soldier's household is complicated by law, custom, and distance. During much of the early empire, ordinary serving soldiers faced restrictions on legal marriage. That did not prevent relationships or families from existing. People are usually more creative than regulations, especially when they live beside a permanent fort. But the legal standing of a soldier's partner and children could differ from what a modern viewer expects. Marcus may have a partner near the frontier settlement. He may send money to parents or siblings in his home district. He may support children who cannot share every benefit attached to his military position while he serves. The exact arrangement varies from person to person. That uncertainty is one reason broad claims about Roman family life need careful handling. Still, regular pay changes a soldier's relationship to family. A person with an unpredictable wage can promise help and then be defeated by a bad season. Marcus can make a plan. He can save a portion of each installment. He can purchase goods locally. He can deposit money with the unit. He can send support through trusted networks. None of this is effortless, but the possibility exists. The letters from Vindolanda make the frontier feel intimate. People ask for items, discuss supplies, arrange travel, send greetings, complain about silence, and write with the same mixture of affection and impatience that appears in letters from every century. The empire's northern edge was not a silent line of forts. It was a place where people maintained households and relationships while the weather did its best to make everything difficult. Marcus writes slowly. He has improved his hand by copying supply numbers. His letter contains no grand military news. He writes about pay, a shipment delayed by rain, a friend assigned elsewhere, and the price of oil. He encloses enough money to help with repairs at home. The amount is modest. To his family, it may be the difference between postponing a purchase and making it. This is another form of military advantage. The wage is not only spent on Marcus, it can support a larger household. Yet the army also limits his control. He cannot simply leave when a family member becomes ill. He cannot choose his posting. He cannot assume the road will be safe, the messenger honest, or the money delivered quickly. The empire has roads, but distance remains distance. For Marcus, savings have emotional weight. A deposit is not merely retirement money. It is a reserve for a funeral, a journey, a gift, a debt, an emergency, or the moment he finally becomes free to choose where he lives. This is why the soldier's financial position must be understood as a balance. Rome gives him regularity. Rome takes much of his time. Rome gives him infrastructure. Rome gives him orders. Rome may allow him to save. Rome also decides when and where he will be in danger. The bargain can be attractive without being gentle. Marcus seals the letter. The lamp burns low. In the barracks, another soldier is already asleep. Outside, the fort continues to make its quiet nighttime sounds. Boots at the gate, a horse shifting in its stall, a far-off tool dropped by someone who will claim it was not his fault. Tomorrow begins with work. Years of tomorrows will pass before Marcus reaches the final promise of military life. When people hear that a Roman legionary might serve for around 25 years, the number can sound abstract. It becomes less abstract if we imagine Marcus at the beginning and end of that span. At 18 or 20, his equipment feels heavy but manageable. His body recovers. He learns commands, distances, routines, and the names of men who will not remain in the unit. He sees postings change. He learns the local roads. He becomes familiar with weather he once would have considered impossible. By 40 or 45, if he reaches that age in service, he has watched young recruits arrive with the same awkward confidence he once carried. He knows which centurion can be approached after dinner and which should be avoided until the sun has been up for several hours. He knows how far a march really is when an officer says it is not far. He knows that a simple repair completed today is often cheaper than a catastrophic repair completed next month. His savings grow slowly, but service time itself becomes an asset. Every year completed brings discharge closer. Every deposit adds a little protection. Every special duty, bonus, and promotion may alter the final account. The danger remains. The empire's borders are not equally violent in every year or province. Some garrisons experience long periods of routine. Others march into campaigns that change everything. Disease can do more damage than an enemy. Accidents happen. The army's records and cemeteries remind us that service is not a financial plan detached from mortality. Marcus therefore saves, partly because he hopes to live long enough to use the money. It is a sober hope, but a practical one. Long service also produces a particular kind of identity. He is no longer simply from one village or district. He belongs to a legion. He knows men from different provinces. He hears languages, sees customs, learns places that would never have appeared in a farmer's life. The army can uproot him. It can also make the wider empire imaginable. That wider view has financial consequences. Marcus knows markets in more than one place. He has contacts. He may learn where land is cheap, where veterans settle, where a trade is needed, and which provincial town has more buyers than sellers. A civilian may possess deeper roots. A veteran may possess a broader map. The years also teach him that coins alone do not create security. He needs relationships, health, skills, and a plan for work after the army. A discharged man with savings but no local support can still struggle. A man with a family network, a craft, and a modest reserve may build something durable. Marcus begins to imagine that durable thing. Perhaps a small plot, perhaps a shop dealing in leather and repairs, perhaps a house near a veteran colony, perhaps nothing so grand as ownership, only the right to sleep in a room chosen by himself. For years, Rome has chosen his room. Eventually, if he is fortunate, Marcus reaches the end of service. The final day is not a simple transformation from poor soldier to wealthy landowner. Retirement rewards varied by period, legal status, unit, and circumstance. Legionaries and auxiliaries did not receive identical outcomes. Auxiliary veterans could receive citizenship and a formal diploma. Legionary veterans might receive cash, land, privileges, or combinations shaped by the policies of the emperor and the needs of the state. The important thing is that discharge had value. It turned years of controlled service into a recognized claim upon the empire. Marcus stands in a modest office. He is older than the clerk who reads his record. His equipment is worn but maintained. His body contains a small archive of aches. He has not become a senator. He has become something perhaps more useful to himself. A man with a completed term, a saved reserve, experience, and the right to decide what comes next. His final settlement may include a cash payment. He may have accumulated funds through the unit. He may have property already. He may have friends who have left service before him. The details matter, but none are magical. A veteran can still make a poor investment. A good pension can disappear into debt, sickness, or bad luck. The Romans did not solve retirement. They merely made it possible for more ordinary soldiers to reach it with resources. The British Museum preserves evidence of an auxiliary veteran in Egypt buying land after gaining citizenship. It is a small document, but it carries a large idea. Military service could change a person's legal and economic position. A man who entered the army without Roman citizenship could leave with a recognized place inside the political world of Rome. Marcus is already a citizen as a legionary, so his reward takes a different form, but he understands the value of status. A veteran has a record. He has contacts. He may settle near comrades. He may be trusted with work because he has spent decades inside a disciplined organization, or he may simply want to leave all discipline behind and grow vegetables in silence. That last ambition should never be underestimated. He walks beyond the fort gate with his belongings. The road is the same road he entered years ago, though he is not the same person. Once, he saw the fort as a promise of regular pay. Now he sees it as the machine that collected years of his life and returned them in the form of skills, savings, scars, habits, and a future that was not guaranteed when he joined. There is a temptation to measure his success only by the total coins. The deeper measure is options. Marcus can choose a place to live. He can support a household. He can buy tools or land if the means and opportunity align. He can say no to an employer in a way he could not as a young man without savings. That is why the Roman soldier's pay can surprise us. It is not because every rank-and-file man was secretly rich. He was not. It is because a stable system of pay, provision, saving, and discharge could create a platform beneath an ordinary person in an unstable world. The platform was built from discipline. It was paid for in risk. It was never free, but it was real. Let us return to the first payday. Marcus looked at the pay chest and imagined coins. The clerk looked at it and saw accounts, food, clothing, equipment, unit funds, records, deductions. Marcus was disappointed to see the gross wage become a smaller net amount. He was right to notice the difference. A wage should be judged by what remains after necessary costs. Yet the army's unusual power lay in its ability to organize those costs. The fort stored grain. The unit issued equipment. The barracks provided a roof. The medical staff offered care. The roads and supply networks kept the system moving. Marcus paid for parts of this world, but he did not have to build it alone. That is the quiet advantage. A civilian household may earn cash and immediately lose it to food, rent, tools, fuel, taxes, debt, repairs, and the endless small emergencies of ordinary life. Marcus loses some pay to deductions, then finds that many of the same needs are already managed by the army. The remaining coins can become savings. Savings become time. Time becomes choice. The lesson is not that the Roman army was kind. It was an institution of conquest, discipline, and force. It demanded obedience. It separated people from their homes. It could punish severely. It sent men into danger because that was its purpose. The lesson is that security has an economic value which does not always appear on the first line of a payslip. Marcus did not receive a carefree life. He received a structured life. His employer decided his work, his schedule, his location, and sometimes his fate. In return, the employer made his income more predictable than that of many neighbors. The result was not luxury, it was a chance to accumulate something over time. Perhaps that is the most surprising part. History often presents Roman soldiers as marching figures, helmets and shields moving across a map. But the men inside the armor worried about boots, food, letters, deposits, repairs, family, and the price of a better meal. They counted coins by a lamp after duty. They planned for years that might not arrive. They hoped that long service would turn an ordinary wage into an ordinary, peaceful future. Marcus returns in memory to the fort wall one final time. Evening has settled over the hills. Lamps glow in the settlement outside the gate. Somewhere below, a merchant counts the coins he earned from soldiers. Inside the barracks, a new recruit counts the coins left from his first pay. Both are learning the same truth: money matters. But the arrangement around money matters too. The Roman pay chest contains silver. It also contains food, shelter, records, discipline, risk, ambition, and the long, slow possibility of a life after service. For an ordinary soldier, that possibility may have been worth more than the coins themselves. And now, as the fort grows quiet, we can leave Marcus at the wall. His shift is nearly over, the road below is dark, the pay chest is locked. Tomorrow, Rome will ask for more work. Tonight, for a little while, the accounts are settled. There will be another morning, a horn will sound. Someone will complain about the cold before completing the first task of the day. A clerk will open a tablet and discover that a number is missing. A merchant will bring a cart to the gate. The soldiers will take up their tools and shields. The enormous empire will continue through 1,000 small acts of counting, carrying, repairing, and waiting. Marcus will be one small part of it. That is enough. Most lives in history are not remembered by name, yet they are the lives that made roads, markets, households, and institutions possible. The ordinary Roman soldier did not need to become famous for his pay to matter. He needed it to arrive. He needed enough of it to remain after deductions. He needed years in which a small remainder could become a reserve. The light on the rampart flickers. Beyond the fort, the hills have disappeared into night. The coins in the strong room make no sound at all, but they have already traveled through the hands and hopes of everyone who depends on them. For now, there is nothing more to count, only the quiet road, the guarded gate, and the slow, patient darkness gathering over the frontier. In the morning, another account will begin. A ration will be weighed, a boot will be mended, a merchant will argue over the cost of leather, a letter will wait for a reply. The empire will continue to look immense from a distance and very ordinary from inside the barracks. That ordinary life is where the value of Marcus's pay becomes clearest. Not in a single shining coin, but in the repeated arrival of enough. Enough grain, enough shelter, enough time, enough saved for the day when the gate opens and he can choose the road beyond it.